Beating the book. How'd you do last week?
I didn't do it. Jeff Erickson was in charge. I take no responsibility for what he said. I actually had a bad week myself. I had a really tough week against the spread. 4-11. It's by far my worst week in a while.
But it was I felt like it was a crazy week. So many games were decided by 2, 1.
But those didn't impact the spread. Like I had Green Bay laying the points against New Orleans, and whether Green Bay won or not, I still lost, right? Mm-hmm. And one that I was right about is I had Carolina, and whether Atlanta won or not, Carolina still covered. So like against the spread, not that many were in the balance, right? Also, I think what happened last week, I like to say
you
this.
You just picked poorly?
Well, I picked poorly, but I like to say that I picked correctly, but the games got themselves wrong. And I also like to say that there was one of those weeks where like the idiots won. You know, I mean, we say like, the people who just pick the obvious one. But you can't say that if you lose, you lose. It was a bad week, but I didn't pick anything last week on this video. I'm 7-2.
All right.
I know this is kind of BS. All these touts are like, on my 5-star picks, I'm 7-2, but on my 4-star, I'm 3-6. They don't tell you about their 4-star, or their 3-star, or their 8-star. They just tell you the one they're doing well. But the truth is, I've done 3 of these videos, and I'm 7-2. So let's just pretend that's all that exists for right now.
Well, that is all that exists.
It's all that exists.
Okay, so you're 7-2.
Right, let's go.
So this week, Miami getting 4 on the road at Cincy.
Yeah, they're getting Miami. 4. I like Miami. Look, Miami went into Arizona. Arizona's the team that beat New England in New England. They're the team that beat Seattle. They're the team that beat the Eagles, crushed the Eagles. Okay, and then Miami goes in there and it goes to overtime.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And Ryan Tannehill, okay, Brady can't solve this Arizona defense, but suddenly Ryan Tannehill throws for 400 yards, and Brian Hartline, that's got to be a record for a white receiver.
For a white. Dave, side note, do you?
It's actually not. Steve Largent actually got more yards than in one game, but I looked that up.
Okay. Oh, you did.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, pulling that out of nowhere. Do you pick Hartline up? I mean, is he an obvious choice?
Yeah, you pick him up. He's their number one guy, and Tannehill looks legit. I mean, I made like sort of a comment in my article, which I haven't published yet, that Robert Griffin and Andrew Luck, they may be the Eli and Rivers, and then Tannehill's the Roethlisberger. Remember that year Roethlisberger was like a few picks behind those guys. Maybe that's who he is. In any event, I mean, not that Luck and Griffin are doing poorly, but Tannehill looks legit, and it's the same offense, Mike Sherman's offense, who's the offensive coordinator in Miami. He's the same offense he ran in college, so he's picking things up a little bit more quickly. And I'm not saying you start him or anything in fantasy, but in terms of the spread, the Dolphins' defense is pretty good. I like
and with bye weeks, nice bye weeks.
Oh yeah, you can pick him up. But in terms of hanging with Cincinnati's been pretty good. I don't want to get excited about them yet. Their defense is still kind of soft. I think Miami hangs with them, and I like the 4 points.
Okay, and then Washington versus Atlanta.
Atlanta, so overhyped. I mean, I know
really?
all the Matt Ryan guys are killing me because I always throw Vanilla Ice under the bus, right? Like, oh, he's an elite quarterback. No, they were losing at home to Carolina last week because he threw a Hail Mary that Roddy White somehow came down with at midfield, and then they got the field goal to win. But that's not, Carolina's one of the worst teams in the league defensively. I think laying 3, I don't love Washington either, don't get me wrong, but I like the 3 points at home with Washington. I think Atlanta's overrated. I think Washington's going to hang with them, and getting the 3 at home is enough.
All right. And KC versus Baltimore.
Who I like in this game?
Who do you like?
Yeah.
KC.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, who the hell would take KC against the Ravens? The Chiefs are a joke. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, they're home, but they're home. Well, the Chargers just worked them at home, and the Chargers aren't that great. So why am I taking them at home? It's just hard to travel. There's a lot of variance game to game. You can play poorly at home like the Chiefs did last week, and then the next game play better. The Ravens did not look that good against Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland really hung with them in Baltimore Thursday night.
Yeah.
Do you not agree with that?
No, I do.
And so I just kind of felt like, this is sort of like the going extremely ugly, trusting KC at home. I think KC had some, defensive players that were out, Brandon Flowers and Tom Bahali the first week or two. And they're just not in sync yet. And not saying they ever will get in total sync, but I think they're going to be better than they've played, and I like them at home getting 5.
But I felt like there was talk about, Matt Castle, replacing Matt Castle. I mean, how do you feel like they're going to get in sync when there's talk about,
When the quarterback's, well, I mean, it's good sometimes for a quarterback to be, hey, I better get it together and focus here. I mean, not that he's not
totally
trying.
Like Sanchez did.
Right, Sanchez. Well, there's a whole thing I want to do. We should do a whole segment about Tebow, and we'll next time. But that's funny about the Sanchez situation.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, no, you're right. It doesn't. They're trying all the time. It's not like, oh, you might lose your job. Oh, I'll try harder. But it does seem a little lack of urgency. He got the big contract, and I'd like to see them sort of, just be a little more crisp. And so, But again, I think it's just one of these things where you got to take the ugly. You got to take the home dog with the points. All the morons are going to take Baltimore. It's only 5. My God, you got to take Baltimore. And I just think that out of principle, you have to resist that and just, blind faith, not even knowing how it's going to happen. You can't imagine it happening. It will happen. KC covers.
Well, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens in that.
We'll talk about it next week.
All right, beating the book. This is RotoWire TV.